We want to welcome everybody to this meeting. It speaks to the impact. We're talking about the impact of workplace ambience on improving productivity. This meeting is going to be recorded and transcribed, and it will be sent, it will be put on our social media platforms and also be sent to people who registered so that we could refresh this document. So just as a brief introduction, when people think about work, there's a lot that affects our workplace. There's a lot of connection between our environment and how we feel. Most times, funny enough, when people feel a bit down, they say, I'm feeling blue, So it shows that there is an interaction between our environment and our moods. Based on this, I'm going to give the floor to our speakers, but I'll first introduce them. Mrs. Ronke Olajubu is our head of product management. She has over 2 decades of experience when it comes to the paints and allied coating industry. So in this, what we mean is that she has experience both in the chemistry of it, in the science of production of paint, and she also has experience in the sales bit of it and dealing with customers. So she has a huge wealth of knowledge when it comes to the industry that we are currently in. And currently she heads our product team, ensuring that our products meet standards and every standard that is necessary. Oluwayemisi Lile is our head of HR. She is very good when it comes to crafting the right culture for people, crafting culture, ensuring employee engagement, employee productivity, and just ensuring that people have a wonderful work experience and we are also able to achieve the goals of the business, which is productivity. So we're going to be asking these questions, we're going to be speaking with them. And like I said earlier, this conversation will be recorded. So I'm going to go to my first question, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Yemisi, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Good morning again, Cecilia. My name is Yemisi, and I am a HR professional. I have about 15 years experience in HR, and I currently head the HR department of Berger Paints.
Okay, thank you very much. If you notice, I've put off my camera so that the focus can be on our speaker for now. So as a HR professional, an experienced HR professional, what comes to your mind when you hear employee performance?
Okay. For me, it's very simple. It's just the way employees carry out their duties and responsibilities in line with the set goals and objectives of the organization. So every organization has their objective and the way that employees carry out their assignments or responsibilities determine whether the company and the employee are performing, underperforming, overperforming, or suboptimal performance. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Mrs. Olajubu, I'm going to ask you to also briefly introduce yourself before I ask you the same question I asked you, Missy.
Okay. Thank you very much, Peculiar. Good afternoon. My name is Ronke Olajubu. And as you rightly introduced, head product management, Berger Paints Nigeria Plc. I'm a paint and coatings expert. because I've been in the industry for well over 25 years. I've had the opportunity to work in the raw material quality control and development of products on the technical team, the sales units, particularly the supply and apply division of the company. And so I can tell you lots about coats and paints and coatings. So that's a short description of myself. Thank you.
Okay, nice to hear from you. From your experience and from your introduction, you have a lot of experience, over 25 years. So HR has a definition of employee performance from their professional angle. But as someone with huge and extensive experience across performance mean to you? When you hear employee performance, what comes to mind?
Okay, my understanding of employee performance is a summary of how an employee does his or own job. You know, when you say employee, it's suggestive of the fact that that person has been employed by a business, an organization, a company. And so there are responsibilities that have been assigned to such a person, that who is the employee. So performance management is about the quality and the quantity in terms of productivity of the employee. And it has to do with meeting timelines in line with the goals and objectives of that organization. So that, in a nutshell, is my understanding of employee performance.
Okay, thank you very much. From your explanation, you're saying when employees are motivated to meet time, they are meeting timelines, they are meeting the goals. And Mrs. MC also spoke to meeting goals and timelines and business objectives. So that leads me to my next question, MC. What does a business stand to gain if the performance of employees are improved? I know you've mentioned it in passing, but I know that now HR really functions to drive business objectives using the most important resource of the organization, which are its people. So what do we stand to gain as an organization if employee performance is improved?
Thank you, Peculiar. So there are a lot of benefits that the business stands to gain when employees have their performance at top notch. And one of the most important things that I will mention is customer retention, find their customers. And as it is said, you cannot give what you don't have. So when the employees are not happy, they will not be able to perform optimally to give satisfactory service to the clients. Another thing would be, of course, when your customers are happy and your customers keep coming back to you as a business, it means that your revenue would grow, the company will be profitable, employees will be concerned about the health of the business, just the way they are concerned about satisfying the customers. Therefore, there will be better outputs, less wastage, improved productivity, basically. Employees would innovate. They would think about better ways of doing things. They will have initiatives, and they'll just want to see to the health of the business, to ensure that the business is profitable, to ensure that their customers are retained, and to ensure that the business outlives even their stay with the company.
Okay. So if I'm to summarize what you said, the first is the fact that businesses will be more profitable, customers will be satisfied because people will be doing their jobs, going the extra mile, so customers will be satisfied. There will be more creativity and innovation because because they are happy, they'll be looking for workable solutions and very creative ways of working. So those are major things that the business can gain. Mr.
Yes.
Olajibo, from your experience as a person with over 25 years and not in HR, and I know you've also led people across different departments, what do the businesses stand to gain if employees improve their performance?
Yes, the impact that would have on the company is that the employees' morale and their engagement is very good. It will boost employee morale, their engagement, and retention, which is very good for the company. It will reduce costs, which invariably leads to reduction in waste because there's improved productivity. And like the HR professional mentioned, you would have higher customer satisfaction because a happy employee or a happy people in the workplace will actually result in having happy customers. So the impact of improved employee performance on the business cannot be overemphasized. Any good, profitable, growing business needs it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So you're saying that, and I think MC would like this, that there will be reduced costs when it comes to recruiting because turnover will be low. Because if employees are happy and their performance improves, they are staying in the organization, we really don't have to spend resources trying to get more staff. So that's why I said that EMC will be happy. You also said that they will do more work and waste management. I know that Berger Paints as an organization is very big on sustainability, and globally we are big on sustainability. So there will be less wastage, physical wastage, but I'm sure you're also speaking to wastage that may also not be very tangible, like time. So employees when employee performance improves, they manage their time better, they do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. So we're saving time. And most importantly, the business is profitable and there is more happiness. So the next question I'll ask the boss, if you can also give case studies, we would like that. MC, do you have any examples of the impact of decreased employee performance? So we've spoken a lot on improved employee performance, and what that means is that if employee performance is decreased, the opposite might probably happen. So what is the impact of where businesses have a situation where employee performance is decreasing? And do you have any case studies from your experience that you can share with us?
Yes, I do have case studies without giving too much information. I would say that one of the impacts of low employee morale is actually employee sabotage. Sabotage in the sense that employees will look for ways of getting what they want or doing things that give them whatever it is that they're looking for, regardless of whether the business is intentional about their staff or not. So you'll find situations where the employees will sabotage the company. There will be cases of fraud, cases of theft, cases of loss for the business. You just realize that your auditors are checking because they know that there would always be theft and maybe reduction in whatever it is that you have in storage.
Okay, thank you very much. You mentioned sabotage to the business because there's a possibility that people will seek whatever they believe that they are lacking in their own ways. So sabotage, which can also affect business productivity. I mean, what looks like a small sabotage can become a very big regulatory issue and challenge. So we spoke to that. Mrs. Olajibu, from your experience, do you have any examples or case studies of the impact of decreased employee performance on the business?
Yes. Before I go to the example, I want you to know that the impact of reduced performance, the employee performance, one of it is there's reduced disengagement. The employees are actually disengaged from their duties, though they're physically on duty. That means that there would be little or no collaboration among the team members. There wouldn't be innovation because it will just be doing my responsibilities, business as usual, not thinking through, no extra mile, and eventually there will be a disconnect from the company goals and objectives. These repercussion, of course, have very grave consequences on the business. And so, the whatever causes employees to have reduced performance or interest in their job should be eliminated to the barest minimum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You spoke to the fact that there could be disengagement, and you are really speaking a lot to costs. So when we consider the fact that an employee is disengaged, but they are coming to work, the organization is paying them, but they have disengaged from their work. They are not giving in their best, they are not productive. When we look at the cost to the business, we need to consider that. I will then go on to ask about the employees themselves, because we've spoken about the business, but there's something called what is in it for me factor. So as a person who has a career or who is the employee, what is the impact to me if I say that I will increase my performance? What are the benefits to me and also to my teammates? We spend over 7-8 hours in the workplace. So we also want to have positive relationships with the people that we work with. So if me as an employee increases my performance consistently, what is the benefit to me and to my teammates? Let me see if you can take that first.
Thank you, Peculiar. So if you remember our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, one of the things that it talked about is self-actualization. And for an employee who is motivated, of course, the first thing, or an employee whose performance is optimal and improved, the first thing that the person would feel is a sense of confidence, a sense of accomplishment, that, I am a part of something that is beyond me, that is bigger than me, that has impact, right? The person would feel that I can achieve everything that I set my mind to do with the right support, with the right resources, with the right people around me, and all of that. The person would also be inspired to do more, obviously, because once you feel a sense of fulfillment, you are spurred to, achieve more. and it just boosts your morale. Of course, one of the things that we don't like to talk much about in this part of the world is things that has to do with pay. Of course, an employee who is satisfied, who is motivated, would also, earn more money, would be recognized, within the organization and sometimes even outside of the organization, where such people can become subject matter experts who are sought after and who are in their respective fields. Thank you.
Okay, so you're saying that as an employee, you get self-actualization, which according to Maslow's is actually a need. There's also the possibility of earning more for yourself. If you are able to consistently add value, you are recognized both within your organization and outside. These things our parents tell us, people are always watching. So people would see you can become a subject matter expert, and then more income can come. So regardless of what is happening, you as a person have a responsibility to yourself to improve your performance. And also you will also be a wonderful person to work with. So you spread positive energy to the team. Mr. Olajibo, from your experience, what do you have to say as the impact of improved employee performance to the employees themselves?
An employee that consistently adds value is obviously a competent employee. That person will be skillful and, of course, experienced in that field. And the person, in summary, becomes a valuable asset, not only to the organization, to himself or herself, and of course, to the world. So that's my bit on that.
Okay, thank you. So you become an asset, and assets are taken care of. So the learning and the feedback from both of you is, as people who are working, we have a responsibility to ourselves to add value everywhere we go. The more we increase our performance, the more we add value, the happier that we are. We have a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. I'll ask one more question before we go into the meat of this conversation, which is the impact of ambience on employee performance. But I also want people to understand that if you have questions, you can put them in the chat box. We will also send out this video to everybody who registered. We'll send out this video to everybody who registered, and we would expect you to also listen to it, because there are a lot of gems being dropped. So just know you can drop your questions in the chat box. We've spoken about the impact of increased employee performance, but if I'm an employee and I feel like I've been giving my best, but I'm not feeling noticed and my performance is dropping, what do I stand to lose? Because let's be honest, there are times people feel like they're giving their best, they're giving 100%, probably over 100%, and they are not seeing what they believe that they deserve. It will happen. And sometimes they could get discouraged and say that I'm going to just reduce my performance. And of course, like we have said, it has impacted the business. But is there an impact to me if I drop my performance as an employee? Mrs. MC.
Okay. My advice to such employee is, before you decide to drop your performance, I think you need to seek feedback. You need to seek clarity on why some of your expectations might not be met. So if you have a line manager, you may want to talk to your line manager to say, oh, I think I'm giving my best. And because the reason I say this is because there have been conversations that suggest that sometimes it's not just the hard skills, many times it's not just the hard skills that, or the technical competencies, as it were, that an employee brings to the table. Sometimes it might be such things as, communication, teamwork, and, all of those other softer skills that we get to constantly display in the workplace on a daily basis. So before an employee would take a decision that, oh, I'm not going to make an effort, I'm just going to come here and just maybe sit down or whatever, I think such person needs to seek feedback and get that feedback in order to know what areas to improve upon. Now, we may have a situation, there might be a situation where the employee is not really getting the feedback, or the feedback is not, will I say, tangible or maybe concrete enough for the employee to really take it on and improve. So I would say that such employees should still continue to put in his or her best, because one day, someday, the person might get noticed, for just being a good employee and a valuable employee.
Okay, thank you very much. So you're saying the first thing is seek feedback. You are probably thinking that you've done everything that you can do, but there may be feedback maybe on not the technical skills, but the softer skills. You mentioned teamwork. I used to hear someone say that the soft skills are actually the harder skills. So teamwork, communication, those things, presentation, those things may look easy, emotional intelligence, but they are actually the things that could differentiate you. So if you feel you're giving your best, but it's seemingly not recognized, you might want to go to your line manager or somebody you respect to say, give me honest feedback. What can I improve on? And if you've done everything, the truth is that a time will come, people are always watching, and a time will come that you would actually be recognized. And most importantly, EMC had spoken to self-actualization. Anywhere you are, you take yourself with you. If you're a person of value, you're a person of value, and that cannot be taken away from you. Mr. Olajibu, do you have any words for somebody who feels they are giving their best, but they are not being noticed, and they are saying, you know what, I'll just decrease my performance? What impact will this have on them? And do you have any words for them?
My word for such an employee is look a little more inward before you take any further steps. What I mean by that is that that kind of employee has to do an unbiased self-evaluation. Because when you talk of performance, it's actually an act of doing something successfully and using knowledge. It's more than merely possessing the knowledge. So what I mean by the self-evaluation of one's performance, examine yourself. Am I actually carrying out my responsibilities successfully? Am I using the knowledge? My employer got me into this space because he feels I have this knowledge, I possess this knowledge. So examine yourself to ensure you're using the knowledge to actually achieve the company's objectives and goals. After that, like the HR professional mentioned, there would be the need to ask for honest feedback from your line manager and from team members to see probably where you could be failing, because having to decrease your performance because you feel you're not being appreciated is actually going the wrong direction, and it will worsen the situation. If you decrease your performance and as an employee, you have actually decreased your worth. So my word to such employees, after a thorough self-evaluation, go for honest feedback from other team members and your line manager, and ensure you're actually aligning with the company policies, objectives, and strategies. And I believe all will be well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you're saying that if a person reduces their performance, they become people that are adding lower value, and so that impacts them negatively. But because you want to find solutions for them, they should first of all have honest appraisals, tell themselves the truth about how their performance is really impacting organizational goals. So you could be doing something, but there are organizational objectives. It might not be in line with the values. It might not be in line with the strategy. They say it is the market it is the buyer that determines the quality of the product. So if you say that you're adding value, it's the recipient of the value that will say whether you are valuable or not. So thank you. I would like to go to the meat of this, which is ambience. So yeah, let me see, what is your understanding of workplace ambience?
Okay. I think that when it comes to ambience, generally, people would tend to think more about the physical space in terms of the serenity of the environment, how clean it is, how well lit it is, the layout. People may think of sitting arrangements and all of that. These days we talk about open offices where there can be collaboration and all of that. But for me, it's a bit beyond that, because there are also other aspects, that contribute to how well an employee feels, how focused, how much of collaboration the employee would enjoy in the workplace. So what I mean by that is that there are both physical, emotional, cultural, and even functional. So when I say functional, I mean, how easy is it for you to get things done around your workplace? You want to get approvals, how many hoops do you have to jump in order to get to the final thing? In your physical workspace, how easy is it for you to access your other colleagues through the phone? I mean, those resources that have been provided within your workspace. How often are you able to get another colleague's attention for help? How easy is it for you to just get things done in your physical environment? And when it comes to other aspects, like the emotional aspect, how safe do you feel, in your work environment? How safe do you feel with your superiors, with your colleagues, with even your direct reports? How safe do you feel? And I say even direct reports because sometimes we've seen where line managers cannot give feedback because they don't feel safe. They feel that we've had situations where line managers are called toxic. So line managers are a bit more careful, to express and give feedback to their downlines. So those are some of the things that contribute to the right ambience in the workplace.
Okay, thank you very much. As you were talking, I was actually jotting down. So you said there's the physical aspect of ambience, which is color, lightning, space. I really, when I am speaking with Mrs. Olajibe, I'll talk a lot more on that. But then there's the emotional aspect to how psychologically safe do you feel with your teammates, with the people that you work with the people who report to you, or with the people you report to. How safe do you feel to give feedback? How safe do you feel to receive feedback? You also spoke to structural. How easy is it for you to assess things around the office? That this may also call to mind DEI. So we are looking at things like, special needs. How safe do you feel? And then functional, in terms of how functional is the business and the environment for you. So that's my understanding of what you said. And thank you for taking this outside of just the physical bit. So, Mr. Salaj, we're going to you, and someone who has been in the paint and light coating industry for a while. I know that there are impacts of paint and ambience that also has impact on emotions. So we hear things like color psychology, for example. What do you believe that the right colors in an environment adds when it comes to the emotional aspect of work that Yemisi also spoke to?
Thank you very much. Ambience actually sets the tone of the workspace. And when you talk of the ambience, you can't but mention the place of the color scheme and its impacts on the employees. For instance, I remember when I was in the laboratory, most times we'll like to have the space painted white because it also helps us to in our color matching such that you don't have any interference from the colors on the wall. But I want to tell you, when you have a colorful space, it inspires you. You try to also imagine that customer that wants this blue shade. You could get inspiration when you have a space with a very lovely color scheme. And so the space of deco, or the impact of deco in assisting in setting the tone for ambience in the workspace, cannot be overemphasized, because it brightens up even the spirit of the employee, and it sets them to innovation and being able to think through their assignments. Thank you.
Okay, so you spoke to two things that MEC spoke about, where you said, I think this is either structural or functional, where you said that in the lab, the use of white is employed, and that's because it's practical. So it does not interfere with whatever they are doing. So that is an example of a practical use of color. And then you also spoke to the emotional bit, saying that using the right colors could inspire creativity and just make people want to come to work. I also want to speak to the health bit of your environment. So I'm not a medical practitioner, but I've read some things, and I've heard situations where they say if a place, for example, has a lot of mold, cracked paint, peeling paint, maybe the lead content on paint is not good enough, or it's not eco-friendly. There's been some talk on the impact on the health bit. So there are some offices where you have mold on the walls, you have cracks, the place is dewy. From your experience, and from your interaction with regulatory bodies, is there an adverse impact on this, on the employees? Because health can also impact performance.
Yes, the ambience, the physical outlook, the deco, the color scheme of a workspace matters a lot. imagine as an employee having to do your daily responsibilities in a space full of mildew, full of algae. There's no way that kind of employee can perform as at his or her best, because for somebody that has a very sensitive skin, that alone can run goose pimples down your spine, and the person is actually getting skin irritation and the rest of it. And the kind of paint used also defines the safety of the space. And an employee that feels unsafe cannot deliver at optimal performance. So that's my comments on your question.
Okay, thank you. I'll bring it back to Berger Paints. So I know that Berger Paints has products that could prevent some of the things you've mentioned. We have products that could inhibit the growth of algae, spores, that can prevent cracking. I know we have products like that. I don't know if you want to speak slightly to them. And I also know that Berger Paints employs raw materials that are safe. So if you study our technical data sheets, we use raw materials that are to the global standards because we take the health and safety of our customers very seriously. I know that Berger Paints has the very first eco-friendly paint product with low volatile organic compounds. So I don't know if you want to slightly speak to how Berger Paints has incorporated this in the development of our products, because you are the head of products for Berger Paints.
Thank you very much for this important question, because good manufacturing practice starts from the point of raw material selection. Obviously, it's a case of garbage in, garbage out. So it all starts from careful selection of our raw materials that would be used in the production of our paints and coatings. We ensure that these raw materials are safe, right from the factory workers and those that would handle them before it comes out as an end product that will go out to our esteemed customers. And we ensure that these raw materials are raw materials that are non-toxic to humans, in addition to the fact that we ensure the use of the protective PPEs such that the chemical nature does not lead to allergy or some other kind of reaction that would affect those that come in contact with the products and the raw materials. And the eco-friendly paint you mentioned, we're proud to say that we're the first in Berger Paints Nigeria Plc to come up with low, close to zero VOC paints, which we offer in the premium matte and in the premium satin finish. And this is because we have the health and the safety of our customers, of our applicators, and the users of those space in mind. And because in our innovative and development work, we always have at the back of our minds that it is safety first, though we put quality always. It's always safety first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you said good manufacturing practices or health practices starts with raw materials. You mentioned that Berger Paints picks the right raw materials that are to every global standard, safe, non-toxic. But I know you also spoke to mildew and algae growth and how they could also affect. And you have that, especially in coastal areas, especially in some businesses too that cannot afford to pay. So there are businesses that can afford to paint every 6 months. There are businesses that might have to paint once a year, might have to paint once in 2 years, and they have these challenges. So does Berger Paints have solutions, one, for these things you mentioned, algae growth, mildew? That's the first question. The second question is, does Berger also ensure durability to some degree if a business cannot afford to paint as frequently as some others?
Thank you very much. What you have talked about, I would like to start by saying Berger Paints, we manufacture paints, coatings, and allied products. I'll pick up the allied products as regarding your points on materials that help to fight and inhibit the growth of algae. These we call preparatory materials. They are not actually paint products. They are materials that must be used prior to painting because they put the surface in the right condition. And examples of our preparatory materials, the first in line is the sterilizing solution. It is a biocidal wash. It is much more than a detergent solution. It is a combination of fungicides and algicides. So it's a wash solution, but it will treat down to the pores on the surface, the walls, to be painted, and such that the incoming paint film has a very clean and sound foundation to lie on. We also have our roughite. It is a wall putty, and it helps to fill minor cracks and imperfections on the wall, because depending on the type of your paint finish, it's very essential that you have a very even and smooth surface, because all these preparatory materials, they help to enhance the performance and durability of the top coat, that is the paint finish. And you mentioned durability in the course of asking me the question, and how Berger Paints speak to that. For a customer, irrespective of the size of your budget, the place of adequate surface preparation in making use of our preparatory materials cannot be overemphasized, because the better, the adequate surface preparation you have, the better the performance of the paints, and of course, the longer the durability. So that is very essential. And we also have a subsidiary company, Sweet Painting Limited, that is dedicated to the application of paints and coatings. We manufacture these products, and our subsidiary, our sister company, Sweet Painting, they know how best to prepare your surface and apply the paints and coatings for good product performance and durability. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You spoke to the fact that we have allied products that could help inhibit most of the things you mentioned. You also highlighted the need for very good surface preparation, and you spoke to our subsidiary Swift Painting that could apply. I trust too that people could contact, that Berger Paints has a team that could also provide advisory services before purchases are made. So I know you can, for people listening either live or people watching the replay, you can go to our website and call our contact center numbers, or visit any of our Color World outlets. We have very trained professionals that could offer solutions. So we at Berger Paints, we don't sell paint. we offer paint and allied coating solutions. And one of the solutions we could offer is what is leading to this webinar, giving you the right ambience that could impact productivity. So we are pressed for time, but there's a question for EMC here. Please, if you have any question, you can put them in the chat box. But there's a question from EMC here. It says, Madam MEC mentioned something about employees getting rewarded. Take for example, let's take for instance a company with 200 staff members, and every staff member gives his or her all and are deserving of reward incentives and packages, maybe increased pay. Is it sustainable for the company in the long run, considering the cost being incurred by employee performance? So what I'm trying to say is, if everybody in the business gives over 100%, and the over 100% that they are giving is affecting the business positively, is impacting business objectives in a very measurable way, you know, the SMART measurements that we use, everything. Is it sustainable for a business to say we are promoting everybody or we are giving everybody this percentage increase, taking into consideration the cost?
Okay. I want to believe that if indeed all employees doing their best, except there are other underlying factors, I want to believe that such a business will be profitable and they will be able to retain their customers. And they should be able to afford whatever it is. So now every business is different in terms of their profit margins and, you know, in terms of other things like their running costs and, you know, operational costs and all that. But whatever it is, that if the company has adequate structures in place within their HR, they should be able to compensate all employees however little the company can do. But if there is indeed performance, high performance, regardless of how little an employee may think that the reward is, the business should be able to compensate all employees. At the same time, also ensuring that those who may not be performing are also giving the right feedback, adequate support to improve their performance, and all of that. So I'm certain that if indeed a company has about 200 staff, not all of the staff will perform at the same level. So some might be high performers, some might, you know, just do exactly what is expected from them, while others will go the extra mile. And some people would perform suboptimally. So whatever level an employee is, the organization should be able to meet the employee at that point, whether it is in terms of reward, support in terms of training, coaching, mentoring, because those are also investments that the company makes in such employees. Because even if it's the time that is spent, you know, helping the employees get better, those are investments as well. So for the person who has asked that question is ensure that you have a very good understanding of your company's financial status in terms of their profitability, their profit margins, and all of that. Thank you.
Okay, so barring any circumstance outside the organization's control, the organization will find a way of rewarding everybody. It need not always be financial, salary or promotions. Additional trainings is also, you know, there are various other ways that the company would look to reward. So also as employees, we should also know that if the company is sending you on a training, if they're increasing your salary by a particular percentage, it's still a form of reward, because these things add value to you and also have impact. We have another question saying, thank you, it's been an insightful and impactful webinar. you to speakers and organizers. So to Mrs. Olajibu, this question is to you. You've spoken about mental health, and you spoke about color and paint. How does it contribute to productivity and performance in the workplace if an employee is dealing with a toxic line manager? If my line manager is toxic, does the fact that my office is fine take away from the fact that I'm dealing with toxicity? So I understand this question. So can you please throw more light to it, especially because of your experience?
Thank you very much. It's a funny question, though. So I like to respond by saying, really, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If you are, as a person, an employee, if you experience your world in colors and you come with that kind of mind, from within, you resume work as a bright and a colorful person. I know there are different types of people with different temperaments that we have to work with in the workspace. But, you know, when I want you to know, and I like you to believe it, that there's a way your environment, the color scheme brightens you up. So you could make it a point of duty before you come across the toxic colleague or whoever seems to be making life difficult, brighten up your hearts, experience your world in color. It's your world, so don't allow anybody scribble anything that's not colorful onto your world. And once again, try to love the beauty that color scheme can provide in your work environment. You determine the world within you to a very large extent, because you have to realize at every point in time in life that you are not the only person in that workspace. Neither would you be the only person in any environment you find yourself. Instead of allowing the toxic or unfriendly attitude of other people to determine your world, you brighten your world. And by so doing, I know to a large extent, you can also influence that person. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you. If I'm to get you correctly, you're saying that we might have to work with toxic people, and we will not have a lot of control on others. Most times the control is on ourselves. And then if where we're working is beautiful, the ambience is right, it provides something else we can keep our minds to. So maybe your boss or your teammate is being toxic and you are looking at the fine painting on the wall, and then you are giving yourself colorful thoughts. So if the environment is colorful, it provides a positive distraction, something else that can help you control your thoughts.
Yes, in addition to that, I think we should enjoy the positive things around us and don't allow ourselves to be dominated by a few negative things above the positive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me see any last words. Before I could, I want to say again, this is being recorded and it will be sent, it will be put on our social media platforms. It will also be sent to everybody who registered, so you can watch the replay. And so I'll just ask our speakers if they have any last words for us. Let me see, do you have any last words for us?
Okay, yes, Peculiar. And thank you, Mrs. Olajubu, for that feedback. So I would say that as an employee, while it is important to work in a right environment, while it is important for the employee, the company to provide a supportive environment for people to work, it is also important that employees determine to give their very best to any organization where they find themselves while they are there. It goes a long way to determine how you are viewed as a professional, type of reward, incentive, and benefits that you stand to get. And one of the important things that I am also taking away from this webinar today is the fact that while an environment might appear to be unenabling, an employee still can find things within that same environment that would motivate you, that will keep you going, that would encourage you and get you to raise your shoulder and say to yourself that, yes, indeed, I'm a professional. I would always owe myself the duty of professionalism and while also ensuring that I do what is expected of me in the environment where I find myself.
Okay, thank you very much. Your last words were, we owe ourselves the duty of professionalism. Yes, the business has the responsibility to ensure that we are properly motivated, but in the end, we have our personal reputations and professional careers to navigate, and we should look around for things in our environment that can motivate us. So, any last words for us?
My last words will be a summary of all that we have discussed, because the right ambience is all encompassing. It has to do with a good, a healthy workspace. It has to do with the appearance. It has to do with the atmosphere of the workplace. And of course, the culture of the company. And to everyone listening to me out there, I believe you also have a part to play, just as I have a part to play. Our companies have the parts to play, and together we can make it work. Thank you for being part of this session.
Okay, thank you. So you're saying to us, when we talk about ambience, we have the part to play. When we say a culture is right, we as individuals are contributing to that culture. So we need to really look at ourselves and be sure that our presence is ambience to every environment that we find ourselves in the workplace. So I want to say a very big thank you to our speakers, a very big thank you to everybody who has attended this webinar. Just to introduce Berger Paints, we're one of the topmost manufacturers of paint and allied coating products. You can visit our website to purchase our products. You can visit any of our Color World outlets that we have in Nigeria. And the beautiful thing is, in our Color World outlets, you can choose your own colors. We have an in-store tinting technology that's the shade of red you want, the shade of blue you want, whatever shade, whatever color, we will be able to tint it and personalize it for you. That's for your home project. If you have corporate or business projects, you can reach out to any of our Color World centers or call our contact care numbers on our website, and we'll reach out to you. Berger Paints, we don't sell paint. We provide solutions, paint and allied coating solutions, because we know that, for example, the right ambience could just be the key to driving employee productivity and increasing your profitability. Once again, thank you very much to everyone, and we will see you in our next webinar. Bye-bye.